It's just Swiss format? Okay. Gotcha. But yeah, anyways, I think that these players have shown that there's a lot of potential. They both understand the dynamics of the game, certainly. I think that the basic understanding is there. They just need to kind of, you know, fix their build orders a little bit and understand how to macro a little bit stronger, what to do once you hit the mid game. Because I feel like a lot of the players that are new really get lost in a couple spots. One is their opening build order, and then once they have the early game down, then they have trouble with the mid game. What do I do in the mid game? How many production facilities do I need to build? And then once they get the late game, it's just like really like, what the hell is going on in late game? Even I don't have late game down. I've been playing this game for like 8 years, so it's a mess. But I think that these players had a lot of potential. I think they played pretty solidly. Tier 2
well, let
players.
me tell you something, Flash. I've been playing this game for 20 years, and I still don't have the late game down.
Yeah, listen. Late game for me is just like, what do I do with my hands? My hands are just like sitting there. I'm like my APM goes down to like 60. I'm just like, all right, I'm chilling. We're cruising in late game.
That's why I always go DTs. Just end it early. Then you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, pretty much. That's why ProDust is a dirty race, and that's why we're both dirty ProDust though. Oh yeah.
All right. Well, getting into the main event, these are tier 1 games, so we are going to be expecting a much higher quality of play. I'm not going to say amazing top tier, but higher quality players that should have good game sense, map sense, build sense. And from what I've heard, I don't personally know these players, but from what people have told me, they actually have quite a bit of backstory. I guess they've matched up against each other multiple times over the past 4, 5, 6 years in different leagues and tournaments.
High tier 2.
High tier 2. Oh, excuse me. I for some reason I thought they were tier 1. But I'm excited for this series because every time I hear about these players, from what everyone says, they always provide good games. So I'm excited to look into it.
All right, top of tier 2. Here we go. Let's get into these games. BossRoss versus ChessZ, the main event. Ladies and gentlemen, we finally arrived. Let's get into it.
And just for those out there who want to know what we're talking about, so the CPL is broken into 3 tiers. Tier 1 being players who have really good knowledge of the game, who maybe only need a few improvements here and there to bring it to the next level. Tier 2 is mid-tier players that have a good sense of game flow, but maybe struggle in the later parts of the game. And then there's tier 3, which is brand new players to players still struggling to learn, you know, build orders and whatnot. So we have BossRoss in the bottom right, and ChessZ in the top right
ChessZ.
on Jesse. ChessZ. I'm just gonna call him Chess.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna even. I'm not even gonna go the Zerg, the damn dirty Zerg. So circuit breaker, like we mentioned before, ideally, you know, a cross position, I think works better in a Terran's favor. But in these positions, from what I understand, top right and bottom right, or top left and bottom left, are actually close in terms of rushing distances. If these players opt to do rushes, it works more in your favor when you're vertical from each other as opposed to horizontal. So I'm going to be interested, especially with this Overlord, going to be able to find BossRoss right away. And, you know, the reverse is true. Knowing which way the Overlord comes from gives the Terran a scouting advantage as well. Like, oh, the Overlord came from above me. I know that's where he is. I'm going to be interested to see if that causes more aggression play.
Yeah, but we do see we're going to have the 12 hatch come out here from Chess. Looks like, and on the other side of the map we got BossRoss with the standard command center into the fast scout, and he should know to scout vertically. Typically that's how I tell people on circuit breaker, because vertical is the closest spawn position, but I guess he's just gonna go horizontal. This is fine as well, as long as you're not really scouting cross map, unless you're Jadong, in which case you'll scout cross map and somehow get it right all the time. I remember Jadong got like 20 games, it was like some statistic where he got like 16 games right on scouting the player first with his Overlord, and that included cross map spawn. He once scouted cross map with his Overlord once and got it right. I don't understand how. It's Jadong. Let's not question it. But it was a strong statistic. I remember it was back in like 2009 when he had like all the star sense in the world. It was super good.
Well, you know, he's slowly gaining that back. I mean, I don't. A lot of people are like, oh, Jadong's back to his former glory. I've watched his most recent games. They're good. Don't get me wrong. Former glory, almost there. He's really improved a ton. I'm just surprised. Anytime I watch Flash, though, there's a reason why he's still #1 after all these years. Like, the guy is just unbelievably good at StarCraft. Like, everything he does. And if you watch him stream sometimes, like, it doesn't matter which race he's playing. He's good with Protoss. He's good with Zerg. Like, the guy is just a beast.
Yeah, it's incredible to see how good he is, and I mean that's why he's the greatest StarCraft player of all time, greatest esports player of all time in my opinion. Obviously I'm a little bit biased as you can tell by the name, but anyways, we're transitioning here into a pretty standard game 3 hatch opener here from ChessZ, with the gas coming in a little bit later than normal, I want to say. Actually no, it's pretty standard. And we got a command center here from BossRoss, who looks like is going to be transitioning into a 2-Racks Academy opener, getting a second barracks up pretty early here, and probably going to throw down that refinery as well.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see though which build variation Boss goes from here. He should be getting that refinery pretty soon, like you said, and he's going to need to build up that gas for upgrades. In fact, I'm kind of concerned that he's not going ahead and taking that gas now. It feels like he should be building that up.
Nope, I just did something messed up. No.
There you go, set back down. There we go. Now there's that refinery.
Luckily we didn't miss anything important.
So as a Terran player, well, are you a Protoss player or Terran, or what exactly is your matchup? Why does this keep happening?
Hold on. I'm doing Alt-U, and it's not turning it off. Or showing the unit panel. Anyways, doesn't matter. Yeah, I'm a Protoss and Terran player.
Oh, if you hit Alt-W, it'll bring up the right side panel, so then you can see what the shortcuts are supposed to be.
Yeah, Alt-U. Was I not doing that? I don't know.
It should be Alt-U. Yeah. Are you using left Alt or right Alt? Well, if you click the buttons, that works too.
Yeah, that's fine.
You dirty clicker.
Anyways, I lost my train of thought completely.
So my question to you is, are you a Protoss player or a Terran player?
I'm both, Terran and Protoss.
So you do PvZ and TvZ?
Yeah, but mostly my PvZ is better than my TvZ.
Okay. So in your position, just because I don't do a lot of, I dabble in Terran, but I've been a Protoss player pretty much my whole life. And I've watched a lot of TvZs, but there's one thing I never quite understand in the early game TvZ. I know if a Zerg takes a 3rd hatchery far away, you go kill the 3rd hatchery. But in these situations where Zerg has turtled up, 3 hatch inside their main, obviously you don't want to A move into that. So do you just play especially conservative, just make sure you don't die to mutas or some kind of lurker, or what?
As a Terran player right now, yeah, you kind of hang back, wait for your turrets to come up if it's against Mutalisks, and build 2 bunkers if it's against lurkers, and from there you just, if it's lurkers, you kind of play a little bit slower, get siege tanks and vessels out to make sure they can deal with the lurkers efficiently. If it's mutas, you can try to pressure the 3rd base when they try to go for it. But at this same time right here, it looks like BossRoss is going to move out across the map, force those creep colonies to turn into sunken colonies, and ChessZ is going to need to get those minerals, and yeah, there they go, the 2 sunken colonies starting to morph right now. And there might be a
this is actually
here.
Great timing. Yeah, the Mutalisks are still in the eggs. They're still trying to hatch. Sunken colonies aren't quite finished just yet. No medics though, so I don't know how well this is going to do.
No, don't go in. Oh no.
But he's got the 5 racks down. He's got the +1 weapon. He's getting the stem, and I'm pretty sure range after that. He's actually got quite a large force here. As long as he can hold off. I haven't heard any comsats go off. As long as he can hold off whatever's coming his way, I'm guessing that he assumes it's Mutalisk. As long as he can deflect this attack and not lose too many Marines and SCVs, he actually can take a very strong map.
There's no turrets yet at the natural base. If ChessZ goes right for this natural right now, he could go get a lot of damage on the SCVs, but he's not. He's just hovering the metas, and just do something with these metas. Go for the natural. Oh no. He's missing a big timing window right now.
Yeah, if he had gone straight into that natural, he could have definitely done a lot of damage abusing that cliff, sniping Marines, sniping SCVs. As it stands now, though, turrets all finished in time. He's only going to be able to just harass the outer skirts of the Terran base.
Yeah, these supply depots here are not very protected because the turrets aren't far enough, but he's just going to back up once these Marines show up here. And oh no, don't lose any of these mutas. They're too precious right now.
Yeah, definitely a huge investment. Definitely can't afford to lose Mutalisk unless you're trying to do an army trade but still come out on top with your meterless Goliath, that's okay. But with no Zerglings, he's just gonna have to just float around and pick off Marines where he can, which is exactly what he's doing. Oh, nice hits right there, getting this little rally point right here, and that's great. That's gonna slow BossRoss down, keep him from wanting to move out, and he's actually building up the Zergling numbers. If the Terran tries to chase those mutas and overcommits to trying to take them down, he comes in with the Zergling flank, wipes out that force, can then counter the natural in the game.
Yeah, lurker aspect just about halfway done now for him. So he's going to be able to get those lurkers out, defend that third base soon enough. And he's just going to use these mutas again to kind of just harass, pick off mutas. Oh, miss micro there. But try to pick off as many Marines as possible when he can to whittle down this force before it can really push out across the map and deal some significant damage.
Double star ports going down, so we're either going to see a heavy production of dropships, or he's just getting ready for science vessels, which I don't see a facility, so I'm guessing there's going to be a lot of dropship play coming out from BossRoss.
Yeah, it looks like it so far. Science facility is probably about to finish, but look at this big Marine medic force coming across the map. Really going to try to pressure that third base here. And Chess should try to do his best to pick off as many straggling Marines as possible with these mutalisks, but he's mismicroing a lot.
Ah, poor Chess. Yeah, you definitely need to take some time. If you're going to go mutalist openings and you're going to try to make that work, got to spend time on those muta micro maps, especially before a big series, and practice that. But nice counter into the main. Unfortunately, that new round of Marines just coming out of the barracks will mop up these Zerglings. If they had come in just maybe 10 seconds sooner, Boss would have had to split his attention here. But now here comes a huge line of blue pushing the top left. No lurker. I mean, there is, but he's not going to finish in time. And this third base is going to go down, and Chess is going to be in a precarious situation. He's going to probably have to take that mineral only, just so he has another hatchery to help him produce units, but he's really going to need to get a third gas soon.
Yeah, and the problem that happened was that when he went for the backstab with those Zerglings, he really should have used the Metalisks there with it. I think he would have done a lot of damage if he was able to get Metalisks on top of that natural defense there from BossRoss, but unfortunately he didn't manage to lose his third base. At least get something out of it. But now he's actually going to be able to trap these Marines here from BossRoss in this base with these couple lurkers. At the same time, he's setting up a third base now at the bottom left-hand position instead.
Oh, that's sneaky. It's risky to expand. You're basically expanding in the path of the Terran, but if you can get away with it, because Terran's probably going to be looking, you know, at the top, at the mid left, you know, the top left natural. Unlikely that the Terran is going to find that expansion in the bottom left, but it's very exposed. It's going to be very hard to hold that base until he gets Nidus Canals.
Yeah, he sees these dropships coming down though through this fog of war, so he will know that they're there. The Minos are coming up right now to try to intercept them, but there weren't any Scourge.
Oh, I bet BossRoss wished this was StarCraft 2 to hit the boosters.
It's the Scourge. Oh. Get both the dropships. That was huge, actually. And now, you know, Chess, by sniping that dropship, is able to probably wrestle back some map control here for himself.
Oh, definitely. I mean, those dropships were... Oh, that was a lot of meters getting picked off there, though. But, I mean, BossRoss losing 2 full dropships of units, yeah, I definitely agree. He's going to lose map control. He's going to have to play defensive, just reinforce his third, his natural, and get those units back up. And that's exactly the kind of timing that Chess needs to reinforce the bottom left, get that Nidus Canal set up down there. If he's got one morphine, he does. And he can easily get this game back into his favor and keep snowballing. That's the great thing about StarCraft. There's things that can swing the game back and forth into your favor, and it all comes down to player skill. If you, even though you do the right build order and you're doing all the right things, if you make that one miss micro, in this case losing those 2 dropships full of units before they could do any damage, I mean, it really takes momentum out of your game.
Yeah, unfortunately for him, doesn't have the adrenal gland upgrade started yet for these Zerglings. So once again, we gotta pay attention to see if he gets those 2 more dropships now out for BossRoss. But Chess hopefully has those Scourge patrolling for when the Terran player tries to go for those dropships once again. Consume is almost done, +1 carapace as well, started about a fourth of the way done. So we'll see those come into effect later on in the game. Chess gonna need to really not lose these overloads, actually. Once again, losing a couple overloads here in the middle of the map. But this big force is going to be really scary. The science vessels have got enough energy for It's now a couple of lurkers in the middle of the map are going to be cute, but unfortunately in wide open areas these lurkers will not be very good. He's got to burrow them, but unfortunately a nice spread there from BossRoss. Picks off both lurkers without any losses whatsoever.
The supply count is steadily swinging back in the boss's favor. I mean, when he lost those 2 dropships full of units, the supply was even. Now it's slowly slowly swinging back into his favor again. He's out supplying chess, which is terrible for Zerg. I mean, you can always be a little bit behind, but when the Terran has double your numbers, you got some big problems coming your way and fairly soon. Now it just depends on whether Boss is going to capitalize on his supply count.
Yeah, it looks like he is. He's just going to march right up here to this top right position of the map. Couple lurkers unburrowed here. Yeah, finally moving them back. He's going to have to try to take control of these bridges, but at the same time, the dropship's going to look towards the main base. It's just circumvent this Dark Swarm and lurker defense entirely, and yeah, he's going to go right for this main base. Really nicely done. Found a big hole in the defense here from ChessZ.
No units either. And because Cheese was supply capped, he doesn't have that many units here protecting his forces. Luckily, BossRoss ran right into this lurker, which is going to help him defend. If he had just stayed to the left of that tech and started sniping, I don't know if Chess could have removed him, but because that lurker was able to come into play, able to clean up this attack without too many losses.
Yeah, Chess actually managed to even kill off the attack here at this mineral only inside 1 o'clock base as well. So he's done a great job of defending here. BossRoss science vessel count is getting really high at the same time, and he's got a lot of irradiates on these vessels that could just irradiate all these lurkers, all these defilers. There's no Scourge in the air, so finally a couple Scourge being built by Chess, but Chess is really going to need to saturate this gas here at this third base, maybe go into Orchalisk tech as well.
I don't know, it could be a little too late for Chess. I mean, he's struggling to get units.
Eraser!
Oh wow, all those drones! Oh, even the defilers are getting caught in the aftermath. Scourge are going to come in and try to take these units out, but losing those drones, I was just about to say he's having trouble fielding an army because he has no minerals, and now losing those drones going to put him even further behind.
Yeah, that was a huge blow to the economy there, and meanwhile, on the other hand, BossRoss being really comfortable here. No attacks on his side of the map, getting a 4th base now at the 6 o'clock position. He's macroing really strongly off of this big SK Terran, getting the 9th barracks now as well. These science facilities continuously pumping out vessels. Might even look for that battlecruiser tech that we've seen now in TVZ, and now going to be able to pick off this mineral-only base all at the same time. Dropships in the main base, no units here to get them at all, though.
And the Terran upgrades are really starting to show here. We got 2-2 on the Marines with 3-3 on the way, and the Zerg is still at 1 armor and no attack upgrades at all. Zerg is really getting behind in the upgrade game as well, and it's just going to continue to snowball out of control here. The only thing I can see Zerg really utilizing to get back in the game is get the Adrenal attack upgrade, start using Swarm, start using Plague, start whittling down those Marine numbers, and retake the map.
Yeah, once again, getting the irradiate on that defiler there with a lot of energy, and the Scourge are not going to be able to do it. Oh, actually managed to pick it off, but again, there's a lot of Scourge for that one science vessel there.
Yeah, Zerg is able to hold on to his main base. Really, BossRoss has these 2 dropships just chillaxing inside the Zerg main. If he was just to bring them over and just start ferrying into the Zerg main, it'd be bad news for Chess. And, you know, Darkstorm's only going to last so long on the front door until siege stakes start coming into play. I don't know if he's going to land that factor, if he's just going to try to brute force with the units, which looks like the latter. Yeah,
it looks like he's just going to go for SK Terran style, and I think that's probably the right decision here. Even picking off that lurker at the bottom of the ramp, finally getting those units from that top left-hand main back onto the map. But these dropships could be used really effectively to ferry these creeps up to the main base, and then once the swarm goes down the main base, just, you know, ferry them back down and attack the low ground instead. But right now, Chess really committed to this defense here at the front, really using this one lurker to defend against everything. But at the same time, BossRoss now getting that gas. He can probably start looking for that factory tech, but no, just going for the physics lab, getting a 3rd starport even.
Yeah, here comes those battle cruisers, and that's a great wave. If you got Zerg containing, you don't want to risk swinging the game back in their favor by losing your entire army. Battle cruisers are great defense busters, especially once they get Yamato. They can easily take out Sunkens. Even if they're under Darkstorm, doesn't matter. Yamato cannon does not care.
Yeah, back at home, look at the macro from BossRoss, really showing us that, you know, this is a top tier 2 game, and, you know, even maybe closer to top tier 1, because these guys are pretty solid players. Oh, great Plague on these Marines. Fair from Chess.
Oh,
just gonna lose all
that's exactly what I was talking about here. You got to start utilizing that defiler, keeping it alive. He is bringing more Scourge to clear the skies of science vessels. As long as he can keep his defilers alive, Plague Swarm with cracklings easily can swing a game back in Zerg's favor.
Yeah, he's got a lot of Scourge here. Yep, gonna go right after these science vessels. perfect, getting 2 of them. Actually, one of the Scourge didn't clone properly, but yeah, man, if he just keep the Science Vessel count low enough, you know, he's gonna be in a very comfortable position, because these Science Vessels, when he transitions into these battle cruisers soon, he's not gonna be making Science Vessels. So if he can keep these low, you know, there's not gonna be that many irradiates onto these defilers instead.
You know, if Chess did not have that bottom left base, I think this game would have been over a long time ago. By having that sneaky bottom left, he was able to barely hang on to the game. But now here comes a drop, putting pressure on that, and there's just no defense there. We'll see how well Boss can make this work to his advantage. If he can take out this bottom left, the game's almost assuredly in his favor.
Yeah, he's going to defend here with a couple of these Lurkers. The dropship did manage to get a couple good units in, but unfortunately, yeah, Lurkers are just going to be able to clear this up. The Nice Canal almost going down. Unfortunately, not able to do so, but again, more units streaming across the map here for BossRoss, putting on so much pressure at the front of this base from Chess, in front of the Natural, and again, he's just really comfortably just maxing out on this Marine count, and I think they're 3-3 at this point. Yeah, they are 3-3. They're very powerful. Probably should start adding Fire Bats into the mix to get underneath that Dark Swarm, just push through Swarm at this point. He can afford it, because he's got so much money. He's got all these barracks just churning out Marines and medics.
And he's maxed out. I mean, 196 supply to 74 supply. The only thing that's keeping Chess in this game is the power of Dark Swarm. He just keeps swarming over and over and over, but it looks like the Science Vessels have finally been able to reduce those numbers down just enough, getting those Lurkers, no Defilers in sight. I think this is the bust that BossRoss has been waiting for, now that those numbers have been whittled down.
Yeah, here it comes. The Marines are pushing across now, and all of these Lurkers easily going to go down. To that irradiate, and now here comes the big push. The 3-3 Marines, the Sunken Colonies just don't do anything to them. Lurkers just melt really quickly, and the vessels once again irradiating all of these Lurkers, all these Hydralisks, and I think this is going to look like the end here. No Dark Storm, no Defiler in sight for Chess.
Yeah, without those Defilers holding back the Terran Tide, there's just going to be nothing left to keep them from just busting down those Sunkens and those remaining Lurkers. And even though Chess was able to get his mineral count back up, he was never able to regain supply lead.
Yeah, just not enough pressure on the Terran player. You know, BossRoss pretty much controlled the entirety of the game, especially after killing off that third base. Chess just couldn't do anything in that position, and now these Marines just running around, killing all the drones. The Natural's going to go down. Look at this line of attack here to this bottom. It reminds me of Flash vs. Type B, this insane macro coming out from BossRoss.
And there's a GG from Chess, and game one's going to go to BossRoss on Circuit Breaker. And the great thing about Circuit Breaker and Fighting Spirit is the standard macro games have been figured out on those maps, and I really enjoy those maps for that reason. You generally see some really nice standard play from players out of those maps. I'm hoping to see more of the newer maps though, because that's where you see a lot more creativity come into play. You know, Polaris Rhapsody and Syphilid and Autobahn and whatnot. I'm hoping that Chess goes for one of those newer maps, especially. You know, I feel Syphilid is really in Zerg's favor in ZVT, but actually we're going to see another standard map, Fighting Spirit, potentially another decent macro game in the works here.
Yeah, absolutely. We're just jump right into game number 2 here with our boy BossRoss, the Terran player, being up 1-0.
Also, I want to give a huge shout out to Paisan and Laser Snipe once again for putting on the Coach Pupil League for season 3 and getting this huge resurgence and I don't want to say a huge resurgence, but getting a lot of interest back into Brood War again. It seemed like you know, with Remastered coming out and finally getting to a point where lag was being handled and the ladder, you know, being updated and being much more efficient than it used to be. This was a great time to really take the initiative on something like that. So huge thanks to those guys for putting this on. And, you know, organizing something like this takes a lot of hours out of someone's day. And, you know, we're grateful, Flash and I, to have this opportunity. I'm really grateful for Flash for having him invite me onto his stream to co-cast with him. So thank you, Flash, for letting me tag along. And I'm looking forward to a great second game here.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to be on Fighting Spear for game number 2, with Chess spawning at the bottom left as the purple Zerg, with BossRoss spawning at the top left as the white Terran. Chess a little bit of a spoiler in the chat, saying that he's prepared a special build on this map, so we have to be on the lookout here for a crazy opener from Chess.
Oh my god, it's a 15 pool. No. Standard opening so far. Once again, Chess getting the correct scouting pattern with his Overlord.
Yeah, he does have that, and everything looks pretty standard so far. 12 drones being on the way for Chess. Doesn't look like a 12 pool. Looks like a standard 12 hatchery build here. And BossRoss, same thing on the other side. 11 racks with the 12 scout.
So, Flash, tell me a little bit about yourself. Where, when you got into Brood War, you said 8 years ago.
About there, 8-9 years ago.
Where did you come from before you came to Brood War? Like, was there another game that you used to play a lot?
RuneScape was then, because I was like, when I got into StarCraft, I was about 12, 13 years old. God. So
RuneScape, that's RuneScape. All right.
RuneScape was what I did mostly, as well as a lot of Pokemon. I played a lot of Pokemon on the
Dude,
Game
Pokemon's
Boys.
the bomb. I never really got into it, but I had a friend who was, and I was always a little jealous that I never could get a Game Boy and get into trading and all that cool stuff. So when you got into Brood War, was it because you found out about the Korean scene, or did you get into it and like, man, this game's really fun, how do I get better?
Yeah, it was kind of like my friend showed it to me while I was at his house, my neighbor, and he's like, hey, I got a cool game to show you. I was like, okay, cool, let's go over. And I saw it, and it was the original StarCraft, and I was like, wait, this game looks really cool. Like, I want to get into it more and stuff like that. And I started playing a lot. Obviously, fastest was what I started off as, and it just kind of blew up from there. I started getting into pro scene. I started watching the ChessZ commentaries and stuff like that. And the first game I ever watched, I can still remember to this very day, was Savior versus Bisu in the Lost Saga MSL of 2009. When it was on Neo Harmony.
Series.
Neo Harmony. I remember the game very fondly because Savior finally beat Bisu, and it was the classic Mass Hydra versus CPL style, and it was just great to watch. And Savior became my favorite player until I figured out he started cheating. So, you know, yeah, that's kind of how I got into it. And then obviously I joined Team Liquid, got myself banned about 5 times on that site before I finally stopped being a little, you know, little dick to people. And yeah, other than that, that's been it.
Well, I want to touch back onto the Savior point real quick. Like, yes, he is a dirty match-fixing cheat, but you can't deny the revolution that he did for Zerg himself, especially Zerg versus Terran. I mean,
look what's happening.
Yeah, look at this nice little run by here. Zerglings to give no. I'm gonna have to put that thought on hold. Zerglings are like, nah, we're just gonna ignore that and just go right into the main. It looks like Boss was not prepared for this at all. Zerglings getting in, disrupting his game flow, and that's, even if these Zerglings really don't do a lot of damage, it's all about mind games. Like I said before, these players know each other very well. They tend to play each other a lot in tournaments and leagues and whatnot. They're getting inside each other's head, and Chess was able to get in, and he's disrupted Boss's cheese, disrupted his flow here a little bit, threw him a little bit off his game, throwing his timings off just a little bit, buying himself time to drone up, or possibly, no, he's not droning at all. He's making lots of, that is a lot of Zerglings. Holy cow, now that they got speed, and Boss has no idea this is coming. He doesn't have a scout in. He doesn't realize that Chess is not going for the standard tech build here. He's going for lots and lots and lots of Zerglings. Oh my gosh.
He's got 4 Zerglings here in the main base of BossRoss. BossRoss actually, I think, mispositioned a couple of Marines when this first attack happened, and now these Speedlings in here is going to be able to do heavy amounts of damage to these SCVs, to the mining here of BossRoss. BossRoss not reacting that well, losing a lot of these SCVs, finally getting the SCV pull here and managing to disrupt a little bit of the Zergling. But again, here comes the back attack at the front. They're going to be able to surround the bunker right now. There's actually no Marines inside it. Where are the Marines? Oh, they're back at the front dealing with the Lings over there, and now the Natural is going to be forfeit essentially. All those SCVs here at the Natural going down, and a second barracks trying to get started up here from BossRoss, but this command center is going to start burning. He's got to pay attention to this. The command center.
Yeah, 1 barracks against 3 hatcheries pumping out Pureling is not going to give you near enough units. These Marines are just going to get overwhelmed, surrounded, and picked off. Boss needs to pull all of his SCVs to try to fight this off here. Even if he does, he's going to lose a lot of units, and he's just going to get further and further behind. Chess definitely got inside Boss's mind for this game and definitely picked the right strategy to punish that 1-Rax expansion build.
Yeah, more Zerglings be made at home right now, and he's just going to continue to send Zerglings. Why not? I mean, there's just no defense here at all. The Natural's still having to be forced to get lifted. There's just not enough Marines, more Marine production to keep up with the horde of Zerglings that are just streaming across the map right now for ChessZ. And ChessZ just doing a great adaptation. BossRoss realizing that he was going to go for the +1 5-Rax. Early game Marines are non-existent in +1 5-Rax, and these Zerglings are just going to take full advantage of that. Here they come again. Going to surround those 2 Marines right there, and BossRoss not microing the Marine, unfortunately. That's going to get surrounded. There's the GG. Well done by ChessZ. Let's go.
Yeah, that's definitely, so now that is a great example of, so like I was saying before, like, oh, Circuit Breaker, Fighting Spirit, you know, they're standard macro maps, you know, the newer maps are what show, you know, the different builds and whatnot, you know. Chess even surprised me. He even got me. If I was playing in the series against him and he picked Fighting Spirit, I absolutely would have done what Boss just did. I would have done a normal standard build thinking the other guy was going to do a normal standard macro opening. Chess just turned that on his head. So now I'm curious, going into game 3 here on Aztec, which of course Boss picked, does Boss have a special build in mind, or is he just trying to swing things back in his favor by picking, you know, Aztec I feel like is a little bit more Terran favored than Zerg favored, and I'm curious if he's got something special in mind as well, or if we're going to see a nice long game. So I'm excited to get into it. I loved the ingenuity of that second game from ChessZ, and I hope we get to see more of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Let us get into this game number 3. Going to Neo Aztec is going to be the 3rd map of choice here from BossRoss. So spawning up here at the 12 o'clock position as the red Terran is going to be BossRoss, which means that down here at the bottom right base as the teal Zerg is going to be ChessZ. Wonderful red teal color split. 9 out of 10 split. Watch out.
Oh dang, 7-10. That's actually the proper response there.
Auto win.
I like the banter. See, this is the kind of stuff you never see really in the Korean pro scenes, is because they have such strict standards on how games should be played, and you know, professionalism, which I get, but you never see banter, and I love seeing banter. I love seeing players complimenting each other or calling each other out. Not Idra levels of rage, mind you, for those that remember who Idra is and what he used to do. And but I liked what he did. I just didn't like how extreme he would take it sometimes. But I don't see anything wrong with having nice banter to really push the hype in a game up for the spectator, to really see that that fierce determination between the players. You know, if anybody watches anime, you know, there's always the protagonist and his like best friend that's like also protagonist, but like not a protagonist. It's like his enemy. Does anybody watch Hero Academia right now? Kind of like Kachan and Deku. You know how they're always button heads, but always pushing each other to be better. I mean, that's the kind of relationship you need to have in StarCraft. If you're just coming into this game, you need to find yourself a rival. You don't need to be absolutely bitter towards each other. You don't need to hate each other and call each other like dirty, horrible names. But you need to find a rival that you can play with consistently and constantly and help each other out to elevate your game. I mean, you can mass ladder games, but you got to find yourself a good practice partner. And that's the great thing about the Coach Pupil League, is you're going to find those consistent practice partners and hopefully friendly interrelationship rivalries.
Yeah, absolutely agree with that one. Doc Holiday trash talking me in the chat right now. I think we need to do a grudge match, Doc. I'll be waiting for that. But anyways, looks like this SCV might go down actually. Oh.
Try to get a little aggressive with the SCV, which is fine. You know, you want to try to, if you can pull one drone off mining, that's just one less drone mining. But you got to be careful. If you go in too deep, those drones will abuse the mineral walking ability, mess up that AI of the SCV, and absolutely annihilate them.
Yeah, well done there by Chess to pick off that scouting SCV, keep BossRoss in the dark here. But meanwhile, BossRoss going to play standard. He's going to get that command center up, and Chess is going to see everything with this scouting overlord overhead. As we can see, he does see the command center, does see this first marine out right now. So really good information here. And he's going to try to sneak in with the drone to get inside the base as well to see maybe is there being an early gas being taken, or is it just going to be a 2-Rax Academy play? But here comes the drone. Not sure what it's doing. It's just chilling, saying, "Hey, what's up, Marine?"
What's up? I spit in the face of danger. So Boss is actually going for the exact same build he just did on Fighting Spirit, and Chess knows it, and look what Chess is doing. He's doing, I think, the exact same build.
Yeah, he's got quite a few Zerglings out here, probably to block this scouting SCV, and if he's able to keep this SCV in the dark, I mean, think about it this way, it's the same thing as PvZ when they try to keep that probe out, and oh, nice surround there by Chess, great job sniping that SCV, and again, in the dark, he doesn't know what's going on. I'm actually going to pull up the unit tab right now, and looks like he's building drones, and, you know, he's droning up actually quite well. Probably just going to go into that layer. Yep, there's the layer, and this is the classic, I think, 2.5 hatch build that people have been doing in TvZ lately, that they didn't want to go for 3 hatch before gas. They've just been wanting to go for this 2.5, get the gas before the 3rd hatchery so that they can get some more gas early and an earlier layer before they start producing off of 3 hatcheries.
I think it would have been great if Chess had done the exact same build, because, I mean, Boss isn't even building a bunker. Whereas in the other game, he did build a bunker. This time, he's so confident he didn't even need a bunker. Could you imagine if just a huge wave of Zerglings just came crashing in on him again? How defeating that would feel. But not going that route, like you said, layer is almost complete here. And there's a Hydralisk going down already, so it looks like we may actually see some early lurker aggression.
Yeah, it looks like a 3-hatch lurker style out here, and I mean it's gonna be needed, especially because of how the base layout on this map is. I mean, if he tries to go for one of the other mains, it's gonna be at the low ground. It's gonna be almost impossible for Meatless to defend that low ground base. So I actually like this choice here of the lurker on Neo Aztec, especially with all the ridges. The stop lurker play in the middle of the map can work out really well in his favor, as well as the fact that just being able to take like this top of this ramp right here outside of his natural is just gonna be perfect with putting 2 lurkers at the top to prevent any kind of attack from BossRoss.
Yeah, absolutely. On this map, whether you're Protoss, Terran, or Zerg, going for the other main base is risky. Going for that low ground 3rd base is also kind of risky. There's those little expansions that are up on the high ground with those ramps. I feel those are almost always much safer to take for your 3rd base, and then kind of fill in between the other bases, the mineral only and that low ground base. It's just taking those I mean, the mineral only base has this humongous wide ramp that's really hard to hold, and then of course the 3rd base just at the bottom of your, you know, the going out into the middle is also really open and exposed as well. So I really think Chess is going to take one of those high ground little pocket expansions, and like you said, getting lurkers up on that and up on top of that ramp, definitely going to be much easier for him to hold in, as opposed to Circuit Breaker, where he was having a little bit of trouble with that roving army that Boss was able to push out.
Yeah, and you know, we have to take a look at this. You see BossRoss skipping the comm stats, just deciding instead to opt for just blind missile turrets here, wanting to prioritize the SCV production over getting the scouting information off a comm stat. And so look at this, if he were to get Academy first instead, or sorry, the scan first before these turrets, and just scan the main base or the natural, he would see that there's these lurkers coming out instead, who would have saved himself 500 minerals essentially worth of missile turrets. So this is a very bad position for BossRoss. He's wasted a lot of minerals. Look, he's even bringing back his Marines and medics back in the main base, scared of this potential Meatless harass that's never going to come. And in the other side of the map, Chess, we're going to see where he's scouted. Yeah, look, he's scanned the spire, but he doesn't scan the natural where the actual information is there. So he's still...
You know, Chess for a while had a bunch of overlords sitting over that Hydralisk den. He accidentally just moved them over the Sunken Colony, but he was going to try to cover up the Hydralisk den, but at this point, it doesn't matter. Lurkers coming in, no bunker. These Marines are just going to get caught and pushed out. Even with those missile turrets there, those Marines can't charge into 4 lurkers and expect to win. This is actually a very strong move for Chess. He's going to try to maintain dominance of that ramp and push in further.
He's actually doing a great micro here. BossRoss's micro was fantastic, picking off the first lurker before it managed to burrow. The third lurker ends up going down. The fourth lurker goes down. BossRoss miraculously has held somehow. Oh no, don't go into the lurker. BossRoss, no.
Oh, that lurker picking off those last few Marines there, cutting down that Marine count, which is going to make it much harder for Boss to try to push onto the map. This is actually a great time for Chess to start taking expansions. One lurker is more than enough to keep Boss back. He can't afford to be too careless here. Oh, and Chess, same thing, can't afford to be too careless. I'm burrowing that lurker. Marines rushing forward.
No scan.
Oh, no!
Oh, the late scan. Oh, no.
Brutal. Absolutely brutal, losing that small Marine force. This is going to start spiraling out of control for Boss. Even though he is holding his ramp, he's not going to be able to move out and put pressure. Oh, this might have been a mistake moving that lurker up. Comsat and the SCVs for the win.
SCV OP managed to kill off that one lurker right there. Excellent. Well done by BossRoss. He's actually held off really well, I would say, even though he missmicroed a little bit at the end there, but his early defense was actually almost perfect. And that was, you gotta give him props for that. No Queen's Nest even coming out yet from Chess, finally starting it now. So he really committed a lot to that lurker attack early on, but at the same time he has double expanded because he realizes I've killed off so many of these Marines, so many of those medics. There's no way BossRoss can ever potentially harass these two bases. So he's in a very comfortable position, and BossRoss even now going into, looks like vultures with maybe spider mines and going to double starport facilities. So this might be indicative of potential mech transition if he continues to make vultures later on in the game, but as well as pumping out that massive amount of science vessels. And here comes the first dropship out. Really wants to try to harass that main base of Chess to get back in this game.
And that's a great move by a Boss. I absolutely agree with you. Getting dropships into play as soon as possible. He knows he can't go on the offensive because there could be lurkers lurking everywhere. So he can't afford to take that risk of losing his army to random lurkers around the map. So going dropships, I feel, is a great move. He's going to have that mobility. He knows that the Zerg is going to have multiple bases.
Look at the main of BossRoss. He's made 3 supply depots because he got supply blocked.
Oh, that's gonna hurt. Yeah, and that's something at this point in time where he needs to be on the offensive, can't afford to be supply blocked. Needs to get those dropships going, needs to get those units out and start harassing. He knows the Zerg is most likely taking expansions, and they're defenseless right now because Zerg, like you said, committed a lot to the attack and nothing to defend. So this is the perfect time to start dropship harass play, but he can't wait too much longer. He's gonna lose that window.
Yeah, even Scourge out already for Chess right overhead of that main base right now, and so he's really prepared for any kind of drop play as well. And Chess is playing this game very, very well, I gotta say, especially that opening lurker attack. Yeah, it didn't go the way he wanted it to, but we've got to say that he managed to pick up a lot of that army of BossRoss, and because of that, he's been able to double expand freely. He's going up to 6 hatcheries right now, 2 macro hatches, 1 inside of that 4th base, 1 in the main, and he's going to be able to start just pumping out massive amount of units. If you really want to, he could even go for that almost, you know, that combative style Hydra lurk instead of his lurker Ling going into Hive tech. But Hive is about to finish. We'll see if he starts Adrenal Gland upgrades this time, because that's always something that Zergs just keep forgetting, and I keep telling them they've got to remember to upgrade it.
Zerg's starting to lag just a little bit behind in terms of supply, which it's okay to be a little bit behind in supply, but Boss has done actually a great job recovering from that initial aggression and has actually macroed up a decent sized army, lots of dropships full of units. He's lucky that there's no Scourge at this time because there's really nothing protecting those dropships from just going down, much like in the last game. But this attack here, if he can just divert a little bit of attention away from the expansions, those dropships will be able to do quite a bit of damage. And actually, it looks like they're moving towards the main. So we'll see what Boss has in mind here.
Yeah, he does see that the dropships are here, so he should try to bring a couple of these Scourge over to deal with it. Now they're going to turn towards the main, but there is Scourge in the way. BossRoss,
good comsat.
Yeah, sees the Scourge are there. He's gonna have to look for another drop location, maybe into this 4th base. There's nothing to protecting the back of this 4th base and even the back of this 3rd base down here. So he's just kind of hovering around the middle of the map right now, just getting prepared for where he's gonna put that drop down. But at the same time, Chess has prepared very well. A lot of Zerglings, very mobile bottle defenses, a couple sunkens at every one of these bases right now. So he's really on top of this defense at this point, and he just needs to
Scourge coming in towards the dropships. No, nothing defending him. Oh, nope. Science Vessel takes the hit first.
Yeah, Vessel even better, I would say, because the Vessel's so important at this point. But he really should see with the Overlord that, oh no, they're just out of vision right now, so he doesn't know where the dropships directly are just yet. But here we go. BossRoss pushing forward with more Marines, gonna stand and pick up this Overlord. Nice pick off there. But this Scourge is trying to find where these dropships are. Really wants to know.
You know, this is the opportunity that Boss needs, is to create a distraction somewhere at one of the, either the front door outside the natural or at the third, or even go over to the fourth, which isn't, you know, entrenched. But if he can split the Zerg's attention, those dropships can do a devastating amount of damage in the main base. I mean, there's a couple sunkens, but there's really no big defense there.
Yeah, good scans here from BossRoss, trying to see where the defense is kind of minimal at. Really wants to see, notice that the third base isn't well defended right now. He just scanned all these massive amount of Scourge, so these dropships might want to play a little bit passive first until Chess maybe gets a little bit antsy, starts using these Scourge to go after Science Vessels on top of Marines, and once he's whittled down the Scourge number, then he can go for drop. But no, looks like he's going to go for the drop right now instead. Let's see where he scanned recently. He scanned the top of the army of Chess. And another scan going down at the third base, but here come the dropships. Let's see how much damage they're going to be able to do.
It looks like they're going to go right for that mineral only, where the defense is weakest, but oh, surprise, there's a Defiler, but no energy. Zerglings are going to get picked off. Those Scourge are trying to come in to finish off those dropships, and managed to get one.
The scan, where's the scan? There's the scan. Well done there. He needs to put a swarm down, but this drop has done a lot of damage. Managed to pick off quite a few of the units here from Chess and forcing no mining at this mineral only as well. We're picking up a lot of Zerglings at this point.
You know, Chess is starting to get on the back foot a little bit here. He had impeccable defense everywhere except for this third base, and looks like he's, you know, he's not committing a lot of units to defending that. He moved a lot of them over to his fourth base, which is more critical to defend, I agree. He needs that third gas.
At the same time, he's let this massive army of BossRoss up this ramp here, the primary ramp, defending this natural base, and now he's just going to push forward here. And this is just going all sorts of wrong here for Chez right now. The 1-1 on these Marines easily able to slice through these sunken colonies. And yeah, he just looks like he's falling apart to the pressure from BossRoss right now.
Looks like he needed just a few more macro hatcheries. Like he had, you know, he has a lot of hatcheries, but no really macro hatcheries. He's not really dedicating enough larvae to fighting units here. I mean, he was droning up, but he maybe droned a little bit too hard. I know I was just saying he needs more drones, but he chose the wrong time to drone when he really needed fighting units, and that gave BossRoss the opportunity to push up and take that ramp.
Yeah, I think he also kind of forgot about this fourth base over here where he had 2 hatcheries, because he wasn't producing anything from them for the longest time ever. So that's probably one of the reasons why he didn't seem to have such good macro during that portion of the game. But now here he comes trying to force the units back here from BossRoss and retake the area outside of his natural base. But at the same time, BossRoss still has
nice plague.
Yeah, really good plague there, but still's got these nice little containments essentially outside of the fourth base and outside of the natural base of Chez. So he's got all the map control he needs right now. Checking back at his base, he's already saturated up his third base. Might even want to look at taking a fourth or fifth base at this point. And still making a lot of science vessels not opted in yet for those battle cruisers, but he needs to look more for the upgrades. I think that he started 2-2 now. No, he started 3-2 upgrades now for these Marines. So these Marines are slowly going to scale a little bit better into this late game, but I'm not sure if adrenal glands were finished yet for these Zerglings.
Alright, so Darkstorm going down the ramp, trying to push out that Terran army and keep them from letting Chess get onto the middle map, which is where Chess needs to be, and he's able to successfully push out that attack force, murder all those Marines. He needs to start taking the map control back into his favor. He's been letting himself get contained for too long. He needs to make the fight be on his terms, which is out in the open where he can utilize those swarms, those plagues, and surround the Terran army. And that's exactly what he's doing. He's retaking outside of his ramps, but that is a huge army of red coming down from BossRoss with great upgrades, 2 weapon, 1 armor.
You know what's really upsetting right now is Chess has no upgrades whatsoever on these Zerglings. So these are a 0-0 Zerglings running into 2-1 Marines, which is just an absolute lopsided fight, even if they had Adrenal Gland upgrades. And it's just not looking like a game that Chess, I think, can just take anymore, because of the fact that his units just aren't scaling right now. He doesn't have Orchula Scout at all either. He has no upgrades. These Marines are just continuously getting upgraded to the max that they can be, and you know, again, he needs these Zerglings to scale harder into the late game.
He still doesn't have Adrenal Glads for him either. He got the speed, but no attack upgrade. Not that I've had a chance to notice anyways. And BossRoss is just punishing the lack of upgrades, like you said. He's just kind of brute forcing his way in, despite the Defilers that are in position, using that Irradiate to pick those units off and just slowly pushing the game further into his favor.
Yeah, just more Marines streaming down the map here from BossRoss, really able to continuously make a lot of these Marines, and now he's going to push up again to this natural position outside of Chess, and it's just looking harder and harder for Chess to really maintain a footing. Like, he's not able to stabilize properly at this point, even going for this.
Here comes an Eraser on the main base.
Yeah, I was about to say, there are a couple Scourge here that if they target the right vessel out, I don't even know what happened there. Oh, no,
it looks like it hit one of the other ones. Yeah, it just doesn't have enough Scourge to protect himself from this Eraser, and they're going to come down and just start annihilating drones here. And there's even enough vessels that can start irradiating these defenseless Defilers if Boss notices them.
Yeah, he should notice them. They're even going on top of the Zerglings now. And the great Plague on top of all the vessels, but unfortunately for him, he doesn't even have a Mutalisk Scout to clean up all these vessels.
Yeah, I was going to say one Mutalisk would have been beautiful there. 4 Scourge take out 1 Science Vessel, and now the Marines with the Defilers that are able to just push in, and with all these buildings plagued by their own Defilers, they're going to go down very quickly as well.
Yeah, absolutely, and this is just a demolition here from BossRoss in Game 3, really showing that he's really comfortable with this SK style, and it paid off for him this game. So that looks like it's gonna be it. Oh, there's the Mutalisk.
Oh, there's the Mutalisk coming in, mopping up the Science Vessels. A little bit too late though. I gotta say, I was really impressed with Chess's early game, and I liked the way he expanded. And he, you know, BossRoss just found that one little chink in Chess's armor and was able to abuse it and widen it and widen it and widen it until he was able to get to this position that he's in now. Just really great positioning and game sense, realizing that he was behind, didn't try to force something to happen. He was patient, utilized his scouting information from his map hack known as ComSats, and made it work in his favor. Just great positioning and gameplay by Boss.
Yeah, absolutely. And looks like the Marines are getting ready to push into the main base to end the game right now. All the tech is gone here from Chess, and that's going to be the GG. BossRoss takes this game 2-1. FGG, we might have to award a DQ here for the improper GG from BossRoss. Do we need to get the Kespa officials in here to maybe change the results of the game?
You know, we're definitely going to have to probably go for a replay.
Yeah.
Definitely gonna have to replay that last game. Definitely bad sport by no, I'm just kidding. But no, you know, the both series that we were able to cast tonight, I really enjoy watching the lower tier players. But when you start getting higher up into the higher tiers, you start seeing them putting that together. Putting. I mean, they're not top tier foreigners. They're not, you know, Koreans. I mean, if you want to watch that, go watch that. There's plenty of content out there. But in the CPL, it's really nice watching those different layers and slowly watching those players progress and get better and better and start utilizing more and more tools in that arsenal of their race to become more efficient and more aggressive or defensive, or even the mind games. Again, I'm so impressed by Game 2 by Chess that 3-hatch speedling all-in build completely caught BossRoss flat-footed, and just great games by everyone all around.
Yeah, and that is the main event conclusion right there.